Okay, so we're entering. I see I have 990 minutes. That's not what I expected. I thought it was 999. I'm entering the Edwardian era. I've dealt out the cards. Both sides actually have a scoring card. Unfortunately, the conservatives, or the authoritarians, got to be careful, have the France scoring card. And France it's not as bad as Russia. At least we got that one out of the way. And given what's come up, we're doing pretty well. France is still within reach. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this huge card. It's got a crappy event for, increasing tension might be great in some ways. I've got a couple of cards that increase tension. That might help me end the game. But I think I might be able to end the game with an automatic victory without the war. So I'm aiming that way. There's 4 big points that I can throw in. And I'm going to do that with a support check because I like support checks. So it's 4 to 5. So I'm at -1 on this. It gives me a +3, but I'll go for Paris, which is only a 4. It's easy to swing Paris. Oh, so that's a 9 to 4. It swings 5 points, which is enough. And now I get to do another one. And here, I'm at even, going against a 6, but at +4. So I'll do that as well. And that puts me in a good position to play the Paris card if it happens. What did I say? +4. So that's a 9 to 6 is 3 points. I get to remove 3, and that establishes me in a nice position there. And now we got to think whether or not the Liberals need to respond to that. They probably feel like they do. They know that the France card is in this deck. I'm going to let my people look through the discard deck because I don't think there's any rule against it. I don't know if there's a rule in favor of it, but definitely with my walking away from the game, being able to know what's in the discard and what's not is valuable. It's a pretty good card for the event, but it's also the only card the Liberals have that has a lot of points. I feel like I have to react in France. My own card is the Balkan scoring. You should probably be seeing German scoring too. That's not really, I'm set up to get a lot of points there. I don't know how much it's worth trying to grab Bulgaria. Well, it's worth 2 points. 3 points because it's another one. And I could set myself up in that position so that, it's very obvious what I'm doing and I'm just making a trade. The France card would be worth more, though, I think. So I'm going to go for Paris. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're even. I'm at +3 on the 4. Paris sure is a hotbed of activity. So we swing Paris again. And this may be the entirety of this turn, maybe swinging back and forth. Now this one is very pleasant to us because we're currently at +2 more. So we'd be at +5 on a 6. That seems worth going for. We get a 6. We did not get what we wanted there. Push this out. I'll be back. We're at the question of, it takes a long time for this thing to focus. The autofocus is much, much slower. How greedy the authoritarians want to be. They took Paris already. They've got 1 more. Now, if we're really greedy, we'll go for the French writers. Can we take it? We're at +1, +4 to 6. We can't get control of that. And as things stand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, things have been awfully close. If we go for a cheaper place, See, Picardy is a little easier to take. This would be very easy to take and hard to get back. The French, though, could get Paris back, but it provides us with extra support to Paris. I think I'm going to say I probably can't get control, so I'm going to go for domination, and I'll go for the more conservative attempt there. So I'm really bonused there, too. I'm at a total of +5 on a 2. 7-2, that easily wins this. And we're just, ping-ponging back and forth now, because this has obviously become the center of the fight. The French tried a last gasp, and they managed to reduce Paris. And that might be enough to dissuade the authoritarians, but the truth is we can't take, I don't think we can change things at this point. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 areas. They have 3, 4, 5, 6. You can only swing one area. That actually would work if we could swing this completely, which we could actually do. So maybe we want to. What we cannot do with any reason, with any chance, is take something like this, because we'd be at +2 to 6. We could take it away from the authoritarians, but we couldn't gain it. So what if we went for this? That's a 2. That would keep the fight going. Yeah, I think we want to keep doing that. The other alternative is to try to throw into Bulgaria and take our big points there. I'm going to do this. The support check in Bulgaria is hard. It's a 6. 1, 2, 3. I have 5 on it. I'm going to go for the support check in Bulgaria, I think, because my cards just are not very good. They're not a lot of points, and I'd rather trade. Ooh, I get big. That was a 6. +5 is 11 to 6 is 5. 1 and 3. And now the conservatives have to make a decision as to whether or not they want to keep playing in France to try to improve their situation there a little bit. They can't do support checks, and whether or not there's something they can do in the Balkans where they could do support checks, but it doesn't look very much in our favor. Authoritarians have a good stability card in hand, so they chose to play silent majority. If you control at least 4 spaces in the scoring region, play 1 liberal SP outside the scoring region. This is not always valuable. In the bigger scoring regions, it probably is where you're committed. But it seems like that was the time to do it. And where do I want to stick a point? Geez, I don't remember. I don't think the Austrians scored again. But I think I'm going to throw it into... See, I could inject myself anywhere with this, which is kind of potent. But I think I'm going to stick it into Bavaria. Make it look like we're playing for Germany now. And his is much better. If you control a bourgeoisie space, which he does now, place 2 authoritarian SP in government and or monarchy spaces. Oh, that's enough. So that gives them Paris, and I believe control. And the stability card. All right. What do we have? The Liberals have a 3-point bonus. And the other side, I also think this camera's not as stable, so you're seeing more shaking from my hand. Which may have been the case with my original camera too, which was also a JVC Vario, but of a different make. I went for the same one that I've been used to using. I really like it. I don't know which one's my oldest. Can't remember. Do we dominate? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We definitely have the majority of those, and we have the majority there. So we have a domination. So we get a 3-point bonus there. And then battlegrounds, 1, 2, 3, 4 to 1. That puts it to a 6-point bonus. And adjacent independents make it a 5-point bonus. And that's the end of the line there. But still, we're back up in good shape. And the Liberals are going to now play their Balkan card because they kind of dominate that. But we got to pick our stability checks. Here, the authoritarians have nothing to play. Basically, they're in a crappy position here where they have nothing that would work. So they're playing the Naval Law Amendment. This would have given them, if they were behind in the naval race, a 2-ops naval race attempt without counting towards any limits. However, what I noticed was the second person who got here got a victory point, and I think I skipped that. So I'm going to give them another victory point. For the Liberals, Intelligentsia, we control an intellectual. We reduce tension by 1 and take a card with a printed 2-ops from the deck. And I'm going to put that here and make that choice. But before that, I can do the mechanical action of calculating here. So the authoritarians don't even have a presence. We have full control, so that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 points for the battlegrounds. The independents, none of them go over. So that's an 11-point swing. And that's going to drop it down to -3. And then I also get a 2-point card. And we shift the turn. Okay, conservatives played the Triple Alliance, which gave them control of Italy. And also triggered our Great War status tract markers. And what else? The Liberals played a couple of points, giving themselves a couple of a couple of cheap locations. Their cards are all so low of value. And they have a fair number of conservative cards. Of course, or authoritarian cards. The authoritarians have a fair number of liberal cards, too. They're going to be sinking 2 of them this turn. Well, with naval control, we're going to play the control of the channel card. It looks blue, but it's this blue-yellow mix. It looks more blue to me. That's just the way my brain works. I had choices here. I'm going to pull, I was thinking about the Prussian Spirit. That gives me 3 SPs in Germany. Sounds good. I can put them anywhere in Germany. I can do all kind of cool stuff with that. But I'm a little worried about the war balance right now. Although tensions are low, we haven't even been checking. Whenever there's a scoring that comes up, we got to check. But, 1 minus 3, I've got a negative in play there. It's not the additional minus off of this, but there's basically no chance of the war happening. But I do want to get the dual alliance in play, and that'll give me 2 SPs as well. I'll dig the chit out and put it there. Every so often I find myself, I've screwed something up like this. I had thought I had screwed up and flipped it back over. No, that's a 1 there. You just got to kind of keep an eye out on, make sure that all the spaces are correctly aligned. Sometimes that's hard for me. Liberals on their side did the Norwegian freedom. It's a weird thing. I don't know whether or not I want to do that or put points somewhere else. Those 2 points could get me something maybe just as valuable. However, these tend to be worth a victory point whenever, in this case, it's between Russia and Germany. The Russians aren't coming up anytime soon, but the Germans will. So I'm that seems better than pumping the points maybe into Germany, though I could slip into Silesia and gain that. And it's not like a battleground space, though, so it's not as important. Alternatively, I could have gotten my way into the Nicholas II space, which is really vulnerable right now. But I'm not expecting scoring there until the deck reshuffles. So yeah, it's like, I can put that off. Call for the authoritarians. They played a military parade. for the event. It was a 3-point card. 3 points could be really useful. Military Parade gave them 4 points, though. Here, 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 and here. They took control of Hanover away. They strengthened their position in a lot of spaces, and they got some gain in Belgium. All of that seemed maybe more valuable, given that the Germany card hasn't come up. It's a big card. So far, we've got Germany, Germany and Austria are left in this deck. Now, there may be more copies of some of the cards. I don't know what the mix is. So we may be surprised. And then the Liberals played this for 2 points. I've been debating, hey, do I want to trigger one of these? This one's probably what I'm going to actually play and sink one of these. And then this one I want to play, but I keep debating whether or not I want to play it for the event. It's 4 Liberal SPs in intellectual spaces. This one I can't play for the event yet. I might want to, I've been kind of holding it thinking, well, maybe the event will come into play, but at this point, I can't make my mind up here. The problem is for intellectual spaces, I could gain this, but other than that, I kind of own all the intellectual spaces because I have cards that help me with them, and, because the authoritarians are, of course, semi-anti-intellectual. Nope, I've got 2 stability cards, so I won't be getting the whole pile back yet. Anyway, I don't think I moved this, did I? I gotta think. I don't believe I did. And I'm gonna play this one. It gives +1 OP value for Liberal cards. Geez, I don't want to play that yet. No, I want to sink something first. I don't know which one of these is worse. I'm going to be sinking both of them. So I'll sink this one at +4. I need a 6 for the Colossus class. 5, I don't get it. And this is just gone. Yeah, I want to play this next, when the Liberals basically get one extra point off of it, and that's it. And that seems kind of reasonable. The Liberals' second to last card play, they will be sinking one. They played this. They got 3 points for it, which I don't even remember what I did with it. I stuck it in Saxony. And then the Conservatives took Kiel away, which, with their 2-point bonus. That means we're going to get to sink. Shit. Did I screw up? I may not want to do this. If I screwed up, I don't want to do this. I think I did that. Oh, this was the +1. Yeah. We're going into the 8th round now. Or, why are the Conservatives down to 1 card? That's the problem. I feel like I screwed up. I think I missed my count there. So let me actually take that away. Where did I put those 3 into Saxony. This doesn't make sense. Yeah, this was the last card for the Liberals. You're right. I put the 3 into Saxony. I put the 2 into Kiel. I don't want to do that. I don't want to trash this card, though. It's not that bad a card. Although I'm holding a handful of not particularly good cards. This is, I think, the one I want to play. It counts as a 3 for my naval. I get a 7, which puts me up to the Bellerophon. Oh no, I did get the points for that. Take that point away. And now I take 1 more point away because the Brits were in there. Now the Germans get to discard their last card, which is at +3, +4, +3. Yeah, I make lots of mistakes. First player to reach this box can play a card for both its ops value and event once per turn until the opponent reaches the box. That player can choose the order in which to use the card, ops, or event first. Wow, that's potent. Because sometimes you have a card that's a lot of OPs and it's a pretty good event too. And that was the 9th. And now we'll go to turn 5, deal out some more cards. And I've only used like 20 minutes, so cool. Okay, here we are rolling into turn 5. This is over, it's the halfway point. And I'm having fun. The authoritarians have grabbed a lot of liberal cards, some of which they don't really like. Now, as things stand right now, I'm able to dump 2 cards into the ocean, and it's kind of cool because that keeps me pushing along the naval arms race. It seems to have a lot more effect than the space race does in Twilight Struggle, as it should. But it's causing, some interesting facets. But one of those is, I got a couple of cards based on this. The first one I saw was Winston Churchill. I'm like, bonus! This is playable only if the British Navy is ahead. And it allows the liberals to discard and redraw cards, which is a potent little ability. You can get rid of, he's got a couple of authoritarians in his hand. But even better is Prince Heinrich here, playable only if the German Navy is ahead. On the naval arms track, authoritarian player gains 1 victory point for each space ahead. So the idea of getting rid of this is, to me, less valuable than playing this and getting some victory points. And I'm going to do that because victory points are damned important. The negative side of it, I got no idea. Maybe he's got Germany and I'm passing, on a chance to get control of Germany. Right now, we're both sitting at presence, though, so I don't feel too badly about it. And I think all the other cards are in the discard pile. Could be wrong. So yeah, and this is a one-time play, so that'll help me a little bit after that big sweep. Wait, was that the Germany card that swept it? I don't know, something threw a lot of victory points into this one, the Balkans one, yeah. Hard questions, especially when you're in the first deck, but even here, there's going to be a reshuffle, is do you play one of your own cards for points and leave that kind of nice card in the deck, or do you play where it may ending up in the opponent's hands where he has to play it, where he may have to give you the event. This isn't a great card, it's an okay one. We place 1 liberal SP and up to 4 spaces with no authoritarian SP. It's also, though, a good card to play early in the game, and things are still open enough that it might serve some purpose. On the other hand, towards playing the 2 points, those 2 points can be more useful than spreading 4 of my points around all over the place. So, I don't know. I haven't made my decision. I think I'm going to do that. One thing that I have that's nice is I have the 2 power standard. I don't know if I play this. I have to look that up. If the authoritarian event is automatically triggered, or if they have the choice, because this will allow the Brits to make 3 consecutive naval arms race attempts. And if they're going to play that early, there's a good chance that they actually, first of all, they would like to gain on that, but also that they may have a big handful of authoritarian cards. So let me find that. When playing a card for operations and it triggers your opponent's event, your opponent implements even as if. Yeah, it doesn't look like the opposition has a choice. So I'm actually planning on playing this, getting 3 points on it. It's kind of crappy because it means there's all kinds of stuff that you're being left out of in the political race at the same time, but you can get rid of dangerous cards, and I have a lot of dangerous cards in hand. So I did choose hope I was recording. I'm never sure. When I pushed the button, it didn't sound like it did anything. I did play the Second International, which gave me spaces all over the place, which is cool. The Conservatives played the Churchill card, grabbed a couple of points in Sweden. Nobody's got any goals. There's no scoring card, and therefore people are kind of playing all over the place. And it's becoming pretty obvious there's no scoring card out, right? Or somebody sandbagging, but that's hard to do when I'm playing solo. And now the Liberals are going to play the U.S. intervention, which means I have to find Teddy. I don't know where the hell he is. He goes up above because he doesn't cause war. There he is. But he will help the Allied war effort if the Entente Cordiale is in place. However, one of the biggies, it affects some other cards that can't be played, but also it gives the Liberals all their stability cards back. I didn't realize how to read that. May not, what does it say? All Liberal stability cards become available. My thought was, oh, wait, is there something I shouldn't have had? And I looked through all the cards to see if that's the case. No. What they mean is you refresh them, which wasn't absolutely clear by the wording. But, you know, after quickly looking at the stability cards and not remembering anything like that in the rules, I feel comfortable with that. Remember to push the action marker forward. The authoritarians played the government-sponsored art. That let them throw pieces all over the board. So, you know, they just get so many different locations. It's hard to take that for 2 points unless you're in the middle of a really tough fight, you know, like we've seen when the scoring cards are obvious. Liberals played this for the points and grabbed back some more power in East Prussia. I'm expecting the Germany scoring card. I want to set myself up better for it. And I moved that. Hungarians played Edwardian era. Sorry, Belgian rule in Congo. It's the title of the card to me. The Belgian rule in Congo card for the points, doing a support check over in Germany. They knocked Kiel down by a point, but that was an excess point, and they failed in East Prussia, which would have been hard. I think they probably made a mistake going for that, but it's the most valuable space they could hit. And then the Liberals choosing not to do a support check might have been interesting. Alsace-Lorraine, they'd beat back one, though. There aren't cheap spaces that are valuable like there are in France, for example. Kiel is about the only, well, Alsace is too, but they have a disadvantage there. I played it for points and just upped myself in East Prussia, and actually I think I threw myself into Italy to take control away from that. Now I've got the 2-power standard triggered though, which is the cool thing. So the next 3 action cards are going to, and I'll put a 3 on here to remind me, are going to go towards naval actions. And that lets me get 2 extra naval actions. And since I have a handful of crap, it seems wise. I forgot the authoritarian capability off of this, which I'm going, it gets tough as there's too many modifiers in play. I'm going to also hit them with this. They have to lose 2 victory points or place an authoritarian SP in Belgium for control, and for the rest of the game, Belgium's an annex space. That's a pretty minor gain for the authoritarians. It wasn't really a card I wanted to play, but I think that's this. So now they're in annex space, and this is actually in play. I'm getting too big a pile over there, and I don't know that I'll remember that this is annexation, but it doesn't say anything like that, so I feel like I need the card up there to remind me what the hell is going on with it. It's not an underlined card, though. but it would be removed from the game anyway, so this is safe to do that. And so now I've got 2 out of 9 that I can blow, but otherwise I've got a pile of liberal cards that I probably do not want to play. Okay, well, the authoritarians were able to find one that can't be played. I had to look through the discard, through the out-of-play cards. I'm assuming it's a one-use play, to make sure that the, whatever this was, Union of Liberation has not already been played. Because these, well, this one actually has an ongoing effect, so I guess the other one would too. Not sure what the red means. That's interesting. That may just mean the ongoing effect is just card play. And then the Brits threw 2 points in. They got the Helgoland. That means he's not going to get that extra action anymore. If we do end up catching up to the Colossus, though, that doesn't cancel the effect of this card. So the difference is this is kind of an ongoing, it's in a play if you meet the conditions, whereas this card triggered something, and that something gets completed no matter what. At least that's the way I'm reading it. No answer as, I'm not going to go digging into the facts and questions and everything. There have been a ton on this game. Probably people who are used to, say, Twilight Struggle or whatever, and playing it in a very competitive environment, and not willing to just make judgment calls. And obviously, that kind of judgment call is pretty easy to make when you're playing the game solo. You might come up with, geez, I just don't really know. But honestly, when I play games opposed, usually with the kind of people that I usually play with, one person or the other is able to convince, make a convincing argument for their point of view. The few times where that's not been the case is when I'm playing with people that, I'm not really that used to, like at a con. Not necessarily for a competitive game or anything, but just like, no, it can't be that way. And we're both, absolutely certain of our way. And, what do you do? Yeah, that's where chucking a die or whatever makes sense. I know people don't like doing that, but if you're not playing with the same group every time, the same people every time, it doesn't really make sense to make the game, to take an hour to debate the issue or whatever. Triggering is starting to happen. 2 more actions. The Authoritarian played the landslide electoral victory. I got him a couple of points. I don't remember where the hell they placed him. Tsarist Army. And that generated 4 liberal SPs in liberal-controlled places. It allows them to fortify. The one thing that was harmful was they got to put one in East Prussia. But, this was the least bad of the cards, basically. And then the Brits threw, because it really is the Brits, this into the ocean for their second of the cards. They got up to the Colossus. At this point, the Authoritarians probably want to figure out which one they want to ditch so they can get into this space first. They only have one shot at it. It didn't matter when they did it, so it wasn't bad for me to play the card I did. All right, both sides dumped into the ocean. We got rid of this Polish card and got ourselves to the Kaiser class. They got us 2 victory points. Brits failed. And that card gets discarded as well. This was used for the 2-power standard. It is gone now. Had a lasting effect, but only while that was happening. Move this out to the last card. And yeah. Now, both sides have used up, I think, all their navy. I'm not sure. For his next? Yeah, this doesn't exempt that. So I don't think the Brits can try again, and I'm not sure that they terribly... Well, they would love to get rid of some of those cards. All right. And the big cards start to drop. This was a hard call, but the Liberals gained power in the UK, gave me like 4 points. Damned if I remember. I did a stability check, and it did not do me shit. I don't remember. I know I did East Prussia, and that didn't help. I don't know where else I may have done. That gave the Liberals the capability to put, well, they gave them one marker in every government space, well, in one government space in every scoring region, which, putting in Paris, didn't have much effect. Honestly, that didn't have much effect at all. Berlin isn't that important. It did take Vienna down. I could have actually taken, Budapest is the easier one to take overall, but I can do that on a support check more easily. So I'm kind of happy with the way I did it. And I put a point in Italy as well. And then for the Liberals, they threw some points into Tunisia, putting more pressure on Italy. However, that gave the authoritarians 2 in military spaces, which I boosted that, but I think I only boosted that one. So I've got one more military space to look for. This one's undecided, which is very appealing. But this one can be made undecided and is more important, perhaps. Opening up East Prussia, the Liberals aren't going to be able to play in there right away. Support checks are hard in there, though. And that pushes us over to turn 6. And I think we got time for at least one more turn in this one now. 40 minutes or so. I got to do the calculations in my head on this camera. I can't wait to get the new one. Okay, in this 6th turn, the authoritarians have an interesting hand. It looks very blue. They have the German scoring card, which maybe I want to play right away. I'm not sure. I have 4 to no scoring areas and 4 to 2. I'm not going to get absolute control, but I will have the dominance. Be a quick way to just throw that off and burn it. On the other hand, I have a pretty damn nice hand, and I'm not expecting any more of these scoring cards this turn, unless there's something cheap in the deck, like a second France or something like that I don't know about, which, you know, I'm assuming isn't there, but whatever. By the way, next turn there aren't going to be enough cards again. It's possible there would have been, I think. It's hard to tell, but, I mean, the number of cards that you go through is not an assured value. On the disadvantage side, I don't have many of these cards left, whereas the Liberals have all of theirs left. But I do have some really nice cards, starting with the 8-Nation Alliance here, which allows me to burn the event on the Revolution of 1905, which burns essentially the event on this October Manifesto. And once I get rid of these 2, I could look at this and be able to get away with this as well. So I actually have 1 card that I have to hold and 1 card that I can sink into the Navy. So I'm in okay shape in terms of my cards. No, I don't have 1 card I have to hold because I get to play this one. I don't know whether or not I want to go for the control. If I was up in victory points, like really far like I once was, I would feel really comfortable with just firing the event off and saying, you know what, I'm so far ahead, it's great. But the Balkans really turned things around on me. And I'm not thrilled with the way the rest of the world looks. So maybe I need to score, what? what amounts to 4 extra points in Germany. I don't know. It just feels to me like I'm better off just playing it right off and firing it off since I'm in good position. I'm going to do it. It's too much chance otherwise. A handful of cards is dangerous. There's no question of that. Workers unite. Place enough liberal SPs in each non-authoritarian controlled worker space in the scoring region for control. Oh, non-authoritarian control. No, I don't want that. That doesn't give me it. I thought it was each worker space, and I'm like, screw that, you know. That's pretty potent. There was another one that worked for me. The anarchist attack. Yeah, I thought I was getting Alsace-Lorraine off this. If you control intellectual or worker, and actually I only have one. Crap. Let me think some more. I'm not sure I want to play this because in most areas I have both, and that's a 3 card. I may be in trouble here. Then I go for the kind of crappy most favored nation. Place 1 liberal SP in up to 2 uncontrolled independent regions adjacent to the scoring region. That gets me enough to get control of Denmark, so that's a victory point. And the other one, well, I can pour a point into Switzerland and keep improving my holding there. Not great. I thought I had good cards. If you control 2 or more annex spaces in the scoring region or independent spaces next to the scoring region. So I've got an annex space and an independent space. Oh, there is a farmer space. Jeez. I don't know. Fuck. It's hard for me to see the board. Often a problem now. Yes, my lighting is not perfect in here. Some people have pointed that out, but it's not as dark as it shows up on the camera. But my eyes and the lighting are not perfect. However, like many compass games, I have trouble discerning some of the imagery. Anyway, I'll just keep going. If you control 2 or more annex spaces in the scoring region, or 2 or more independence regions, or one of each, draw a strategy card and discard a strategy card. Okay, maybe not that great. I'll just burn this one. I don't need it. I have plenty of 4-point cards, and that one would have to replace an equally bad card. So now we look at the scoring. We have domination. The Liberals have presence, so we're at +3. +4, +5, +6, +7. +7. Did we dominate? Yeah. Okay. +7 and adjacent independent spaces. Let's take a quick look. Evens out +6, which isn't bad at all. And we have a crisis check, which is not going to work. We're not going to be able to roll higher than a 6. Therefore, we get to see what the Liberals have for cards. Liberals go for a local uprising that increased the tension up to 2, and put some SPs in, not there, but in some of these annexation spaces. It gave me 3 instead of 2 that I would get off here. I don't have any real goals, and those seem like good spaces to be in, being point spaces, etc., battleground spaces. So what the hell? Authoritarians played the big 5-point card, covering it with the 8-nation alliance. Put a lot of points down. I think they got back Alsace-Lorraine. I don't know where else. Poland. Maybe. I'm just trying to reverse things. The French writers trying to get control of spaces. But the Liberals, 2 SPs in worker spaces that allowed them to slip in under the control here and under the control here and take control away from the authoritarians, which, you know, is always a more expensive thing. That big 5-point card could have been really cool for a support check, just to be able to, you know, blast in with a big plus or something, but I didn't see good places for it, and I wanted to play it now. Well, the Conservatives played this for no effect on the event, but increased their holdings by 4. Again, Vienna, Alsace-Lorraine, the Orthodox Church, which has been kind of quiet. And the Liberals are chancing a war, I think. They're playing the Naval Bill Fleet Law, increases the tensions by 1, makes a crisis roll, and advances on the naval arms space. So tensions already have gone up. They can't go any higher than that while Franz Ferdinand's alive. And tension roll, we got a -2 on here, but tensions is 3, so I think it's +1. If I roll a 6, we have a war. We do not, I think. And then we get to slide up. That does not flip us over. Doesn't say anything about it. And we get a victory point. Didn't matter that we did it here. So, okay. I'll get rid of the card. Should put that in the other pile, actually, but push forward. I don't have good choices with the Liberals. I have Clemenceau here. You know, I can play that and just keep delaying. He's a good card. It's a 3-point card. I'm not sure I want to play him right now. I may play him for his special effect, which is removing authoritarian SPs, but on the other hand, I might be better off doing a support check in 2 places that the authoritarians control with him. Well, let's put that aside, because his actual event, I'm not sure I particularly like all that much. One thing it does do, though, is it allows me to sleaze into authoritarian control spaces more cheaply, and it gets rid of Bonapartism, monarchism. So overall, it's probably an event I want to play for the event. However, that takes this action. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 more cards I have to play. I have 5 cards in hand, and they're all, 5 other than that. And they're all bad, one way or another. This one isn't worth much, and it gives 3 authoritarian SPs down in Africa, which, wow, that sucks. This one, disarmament talks fail, increases tensions, which won't hurt me, but he gets 2 victory points, or he can take 4 SPs in army or monarch spaces. Yeah. That doesn't sound terribly good. It's not that bad. They're kind of established in most of them. They could go into East Prussia with a peace. I don't know. And then strengthen some of their other locations. So it's not too terrible. Of course, places like Switzerland they could slip into, or Italy. So there's plenty of places they could throw it. Enver Pasha gives them SPs in Constantinople. It would be enough to give them control. And during the next Balkan scoring, they get extra stability card if they own Macedonia, and it opens up some other things. Bethmann Holvig. This adds 1 to the war effort, which I don't want to do because tensions are rising. And it gives them what looks like some advantages for naval race. They can do an extra 1 each turn. I don't particularly want to give them that, but I really don't want to give them the war effort. Traditionalists gain power. This is 4 SPs into farmer or army spaces going into government spaces. How big a deal is that? Well, that may not be too bad to play. They got some farmers here that would be risky. Those could go into Paris, but do they really want to, giving up control? This might be the time to do this. Berlin is at risk, but Berlin doesn't matter. So I think this is the one I want to play because I'm not sure they want to use it too much. But I'm facing a real problem in terms of the total points that I'm looking at. This thing takes fucking forever to focus. I had to wait like almost a minute there. We'll move this forward. This was done as I indicated. Involved pulling out of the Tsarist army here into Moscow, some support there. Couldn't find anywhere else to do it, but I moved 3 of the pieces to some effect. But I forgot to tell you, I played this Declaration of Independence in the authoritarian turn, which got them Siberia. Serbia. Let's just be as confusing as possible. Unfortunately, my wife came up and started making noise, and I'm having trouble thinking right now. And I just have trouble when there's, any distractions, not just with this, with work. That's why I work from home. I'm real lucky to be able to do that because, it's just advantageous in a lot of ways. I don't have to try to get anywhere or whatever. I can live wherever the hell I want. But beyond that, I can actually work effectively and efficiently in a way that I cannot when I'm in an office. And I can... I can also kind of make my own time, right? Not 100%, but if I need a break, I can come upstairs and play a little bit of a game. And then, it's not like I'm cheating or stealing time from work. I put in more than my hours by far, but sometimes I just need to get away from things there. Anyway. I moved that forward. I'm on the next side here, and I'm trying to get this finished in time for me to take my nap today, because I gotta go dancing. Well, the authoritarians threw away the Schlieffen Plan for a couple of points that got them Italy. The Schlieffen Plan has issues. It's cool because it gives you a +1 in the combat for the war. However, it brings the UK into the war automatically, and I didn't want that. I would rather have the 2 points than that sort of mixed thing. If I can keep the UK out, that'd be great. It would be safe if we get the splendid isolation, I think. And then the Liberals sunk this card, trying to get up to the Orion class. They didn't get there. And I'm marking that I did a naval action by pushing it out there so that I remember, because otherwise, how am I going to remember? Even if I'm just standing here, which I usually am. 2 more left. Played this, sunk it into the ocean, didn't get up to the Orion. The Orion's cool because what it does is the second action round, you get to look at the opponent's entire hand until the opponent reaches there. So that gives you a lot of information on how to play your turn. And then the Liberals decided to play this second Hague conference. They took a couple of points. Damned if I know where they took them. It's, I'm pretty sure they boosted Moscow somewhere else as well, maybe over at Kiel. But then the authoritarians got a bunch of points in military and crown spaces, and they boosted their German holdings. They were considering Montenegro, but it just, I don't know. It's kind of in an interesting place. It has effects on things, but whatever. And that card goes away, so they took a success rather than raising tensions, which wouldn't do anything, and I don't know what else. 2 victory points. Victory points are valuable. But the fact that the tensions didn't go up as well kind of convinced me, screw that. Might have been a mistake. All right, the hard cards are beginning to fall. Magyarization. I had to play 3 resources into Budapest just to keep even with the 3 that the Liberals get there. And then they got a support check. Their support check went against Budapest, and it failed. It was only a +1 against a 4. That's not too good. The key locations, obviously, Vienna and Budapest, both are well established on the authoritarian side. And then the Scramble for Africa finally got played. 1 point thrown into, Trieste. And then that generated 3 authoritarian points down here, which gave them Algeria and allowed them to take Tunisia away. So, we'll get rid of that one too. And now we're down to the final card, and then it's probably bedtime for me. Okay, and now for the final card, which is painful for the authoritarians. This Legacy of 1848, yes, I neutered it by getting rid of all my cards first so that there was no danger of a red label card or whatever. I could have played this a lot earlier, but it's still not completely neutered. The Liberals get as many operations as I do. However, I used mine to try to suppress with a sport check both of the spaces in Paris, or in France, Paris and the French writers, just bumped them out completely so they couldn't do anything about it, which actually worked really well with Clemenceau being their whole card. But it didn't entirely work. The French writers were not dropped out, and Clemenceau, his effect allowed them to be moved to uncontrolled, and then Dijon was weakened as well. Plus, we get the advantages of Clemenceau, which I see as being worth more than that 3 point. Of course, throwing this card back in would have meant that Clemenceau has a chance of coming up later. But France just looks so terrible that I want that advantage right now. This card goes away. Clemenceau becomes one of the events in play. Everything's good there. And that is the end of this turn. And puts us in a position where we're going to see a few cards dealt out, and then we got to reshuffle the Edwardian deck. So I think that's more likely in this, that the second deck gets reshuffled, that there's a reshuffle in the midst of the second deck than there is in Twilight Struggle. It always kind of bothered me in Twilight Struggle that seemed like a rare event, and here it seems like it's now, of course, I've only played it once, but it seems like it's a more likely event. Just looking at this and thinking about how the extra cards end up in play, etc. Do I have a counter for Clemenceau? Probably not. What he's going to do is, for the rest of the game, it's cheap to play into authoritarian controlled spaces in France, and then he prevents a couple of other things. Again, the pile of special effects starts getting so large in this. That's something that I don't feel happens in Twilight Struggle. There's a couple cards you have to remember, but it's not this sequence of, just so many different effects that are in play. I have trouble remembering all of them, and I suspect that I'm not alone in that, and that these games will seldomly be played without mistake, even if you started getting really kind of used to the game. Just knowing what the whole game state is because of all those persistent events is going to be an issue. But I haven't played Twilight Struggle in a long time, so I don't remember. But I do not remember it being that big an issue. I think it's time to load this one up, because we're getting right around on that hour mark.